Hey guys, hopefully everyone is doing well. Today's target is to solve question number 5.6 and we are related with chapter cost, profit, volume analysis CPV, and we have already solved 5 questions. Today's target is to solve 5.6. Look at the volume of this question. Just 3-4 lines are put over here, and what I was saying that during our studies we will be learning how to make the decisions. To make the decision, you are not required to solve large amount of questions or larger sized questions. We need to make decision very quickly. For that purpose, you will see very small statements. Okay, and this chapter has specific headings which would be repeated at anywhere and in every chapter. What first thing we have discussed was fixed cost, and what is that cost which will not be altered. You are working for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day or full month, that cost will not be altered. Example which we have taken was rent of factory building. This we have discussed, and then we have seen variable cost and how that cost arrives in your factory. If you will increase your level of production, this cost will be increased. If you will decrease your level of production, this cost will be decreased. The example which we have seen was electricity bill. As you can see, more work you will do, electricity bill. More work you will do, more sales will you do, more level of production would be increased, electricity bill will be increased. Less level of production means less electricity bill. So it would be considered as variable cost. Then you have seen your total cost and how it comes. When you will add your fixed cost with your variable cost, you will get your total cost. And then you have learned contribution margin calculation. And how do you calculate contribution margin? Simply by subtracting your variable cost from sales. You will be asking this question when we were doing 5.1, 5.2, 5.4, 5, 6, all questions which we have already done. We are continuously repeating these factors. And believe me, if you will have complete idea about these 8, 9 elements, no question would be difficult for you. That is why I'm just taking 2-3 minutes extra to repeat these things. Then you have seen contribution margin, but per unit. How did you calculate that? Same formula which we have used above, the same formula which you have used in previous line. Absolute same formula we are using for per unit as well, except for a tiny change. You have written sales over here, and downward you will write per unit sale. In previous formula you have used variable cost, you will use the same variable cost over here but with per unit. So per unit sales minus per unit variable cost, contribution margin would arrive. And then you have seen contribution margin ratio. And how do you calculate contribution margin ratio? By dividing your CM, means contribution margin, by its sales. You will get contribution margin ratio. Then we have seen break even in terms of units. And how do you calculate break even in terms of unit? You will use fixed cost and divide it by per unit CM. And finally, break even point was calculated in terms of dollar. So where did it go? Break even point in terms of dollar. So how do you calculate it? Same fixed cost you will choose, but will divide it by CM ratio. All these points are literally very important. I'm just requesting you to repeat them again and again. Hopefully 3-4 more questions we will be doing with the same procedure. We will repeat these headings and then we will start. Now why I have repeated these things, because every element, almost every element will be used in our question. And now you can look at your question. This is 5.6 and there are few new, but mainly the old things would be discussed as usual. Even before starting our question, we can write our performa. The first thing which you do write in contribution margin income statement. First we are putting heading over here. What we are doing is to make contribution margin income statement. Contribution margin income statement. Alright, and the first thing which you will write over here would be sales. I'm very hopeful now you have no need of thinking, it must be in your mind. So you will subtract variable cost. This way you will be able to get your contribution margin, and then you will again subtract your fixed cost, with which you will get your net margin. So this is our income statement. Even without reading the question, I have written it because it is understood that right or left, the main theme is to calculate your net margin or contribution margin. Okay, now let's start. Has single product, there is only one product whose selling price is 140. One product means, let's say they are making fans only, or they are making chairs only, or they are making tables only. No other product is manufactured in that organization. So there is only single product. Selling 140 is the selling price for one single unit. Look at here, per unit is written, and whose variable expense is 60 per unit. Company's monthly fixed expense is 40,000. First thing which can directly be written is your fixed cost, and that is 40,000. So we can easily put over here. Next thing which we can do is, using the equation method, solve for the unit sales. That means how many units we are going to sell that are required to earn a target profit of 6,000. So profit is also given over here, which is our target profit, 6,000. We will put over here. It means the practice which we have made in cost of goods sold statement, like in previous chapter, the same thing we are going to do over here, just a repetition of the factors. Nothing else is given. Now, as you know that whenever you want to calculate per unit, how do you calculate per unit? By using amount, and it would be divided by units. So this way you will be able to calculate your per unit. And if you can see that units are divided over here, if you want to take it to the left side, units are dividing here. When you will take it to the left side, it would be multiplied. So per unit, if multiplied by units, you can get amount as well. Okay, these are old formulas. And now we need to have amount of sales. We need to have amount of variable cost, and that is not been provided over here. But one step what we can do is, we can calculate our contribution margin. Hopefully you remember that if there are two elements which are known, that means you know two items out of three, you can calculate your third item by the method of reverse calculation. So here your answer is available, but contribution margin is not available. You can go from downward to upward, reverse calculation it is called. And when you are reversing, what do? You will change the sign. Here fixed cost is being subtracted. If you want to go from downward to upward, that means reverse calculation, you will change the sign. So what you will do, 6,000, and instead of writing less, you will change it as add and add 40,000. Reverse calculation you have done, with which you have calculated your contribution margin as well. Net margin was given in your question. Now here our problem has been started. We were in need to multiply units into per unit over here. But as you can see that we are provided by per unit. 140 is given, but units are not given. So what you will do, instead of per unit, you can write 140 as per unit sale price, but units are not available. In the similar way, you were supposed to multiply units with per unit variable cost, and see over here 60 per unit variable cost is given, means per unit cost is given, which is 60, but units are not given. So it means it is impossible to calculate your sales, it is impossible to calculate your variable cost without having units, and units are missed in your question. So how would you calculate? Again, we will use a very common sense way with which you can calculate it. What is formula for contribution margin? As you can see that we have already discussed it. Contribution margin formula there. Sale minus variable cost is equal to contribution margin. And you are doing the same thing over here. Sale minus variable cost, contribution margin. If we are writing this contribution margin formula again, so what would be like? Contribution margin is equal to sales minus variable cost. Variable. Okay. Contribution margin has already been calculated. Look at here. 46,000 is the amount. You can write over here. And then please follow this formula. We need to write is equal to, and then sales. Sales is unknown, but what we know is units multiplied by 140. We can write U to replace units. That means 140U. Can I write 140U? So 140U you will write here in place of sales. And then you need to subtract, what is formula? Variable cost. And what is variable cost? 60 multiplied by units. Units are unknown. We can replace units by U. So it would become 60U over here. Close the bracket. So now why I was saying it's a simple thing to be calculated, because a simple mathematical way would be used over here. 46,000 as it is will come down, and then you need to subtract 140 minus 60. On calculator you will do it. It would become 80 after subtracting 60 from 40. Yes, 80, and you will be written beside it. Here you can see that 80 is being multiplied by U. When you will take this 80 to the left side of is equal to, whatever is multiplied over here would be divided to the other side. It means 46,000 would be divided by 80, and what would be on right side of is equal to, it's U. Finally we can get our answer by writing 46,000 on calculator. It would be divided by 80. So this way, U means units. Which unit? Units sold you have calculated, and you can see answer which is written over here by hand is 575. First answer has been arrived. You can complete your statement. How? You need to multiply units multiply by per unit. So units we have calculated just right now, wo are 575, and you need to multiply it with per unit 140. So here first amount has arrived. Secondly, you need to calculate your variable cost. For that you need units. How many units? 575 which we have just calculated, multiply it with 60 per unit. Alright, we have calculated. To check it out, you can subtract your sale price from variable cost. It should be equal to 46,000. So here is your sales and you need to subtract your variable cost, which is 3450, and here yes, our answer has been arrived. This answer we had calculated by reversing our statement, and this is the proof that our answer is correct. So finally, first requirement has been completed. 575 are the number of units which should be made to get a target profit of 6,000 rupees. Please repeat it down, and we are going to solve now the second part of the question. Again, we will be doing the same thing, but what is his requirement? Using the formula method, solve for dollar sale price that are required to earn target profit of 8,000. Again, we can solve second part as well with the help of this equation method, but he is asking not to use equation method, rather to use formula method. Here please focus. Formula method would be used to calculate your target profit. Okay, for that purpose we will use new space for it. This is your second part of the question. Let me make little more space so that previous things should not be visible. They may distract you. Okay, in second part you need to put a formula. First let me know what is formula for break even. Break even in terms of what he is saying, sales break even point in terms of dollar. That formula for in terms of dollar or amount. How do you calculate it? You need to have your fixed cost and then you will divide it by CM ratio. This way you will be able to calculate your break even point in terms of dollar or amount. But you will use the same formula for target profit in terms of dollar or amount. Same formula will be used, I will let you know, but let's go upward and see this formula we are repeating for so many days. So many times we have repeated this formula, break even point in terms of dollar. Here it has arrived, break even point in terms of dollar, fixed cost divided by CM ratio. Same formula we are writing over here, but now this is a new concept, target profit, and still we are using the same formula. And what is that? You will use fixed cost over CM ratio, except one thing you will add would be target profit. You will sum, again same formula I'm going to write which was used for break even, fixed cost bracket close, and you need to divide it by CM ratio. Alright, so you may see that our heading was different, but we have used the same formula for part 2. Now read it using formula method. This is your formula for target profit, and same formula was asked in the question. Alright, and what he wants us to solve the dollar sales that are required to earn a target profit of 8,000. We will apply this formula and will get our requirement back. Target profit is given 8,000, fixed cost is also given, that is 40,000. The only thing which is to be calculated is CM ratio, and hopefully you people do remember how to calculate CM ratio. which was also discussed. You will divide CM by, you will divide contribution margin. I should write full form. Contribution margin would be divided by sales. Alright, since total sales and total contribution margin is not given, so what we do, we will calculate it by self. And contribution margin formula, again you will have to see, CM formula is to subtract sales, to subtract variable cost from sales. You will get contribution margin. Why I was saying to learn these 7-8 things? Now you can see everything is being used in every part of the question. Here you can see that contribution margin. How do you calculate it? Sale minus variable cost. And here in our requirement, what you are writing? Sale minus variable cost. So same procedure we are following. Same formulas are being used as well. So you need to calculate your CM. How? Sale price, look over here, which is given in your question. Sale price is 140. So 40 CM is equal to 140 would be the sale price, and you will subtract what? Variable cost. Come over here, variable expense is 60. So you will be putting over here. Now just put these amounts on calculator. 140 minus 60. This is CM which we have already calculated in first part of the question as well. So CM had arrived. Contribution margin we have seen is 80 and your sale price is given 140. So you will be able to calculate your CM ratio now. CM ratio would be calculated by dividing contribution margin, which is 80, by its sales, and sale price is given in the question 140. Alright, now put it on your calculator. 80 divided by 140. So our CM ratio has also been arrived. Your contribution margin was 80 and your sale price was 140. This way you have calculated your CM ratio. Okay, now we can complete our formula as well. Here your target profit formula. What you will do, how much target profit? It is given in your question, 8,000, and you need to add what? Fixed cost. Your fixed cost is given 40,000 over here. Add it. 40,000. Close your bracket both at start or end. You are putting a bracket, and then you need to divide it. Okay, divide for what? CM ratio. Here you have calculated your CM ratio. We can temporarily put 0.57 only. While calculating, we will write the full amount. Okay, we have calculated it. Now it's time to calculate it on your calculator. Start bracket. 8,000 is your target profit. You will add 40,000 as your fixed cost. Close your bracket. Divide it with this was your CM ratio 0.57. So in this way your target sales has arrived. Use the formula method, solve for dollar sales. So we have our target profit in terms of dollar. 84,000 has been arrived. You can see that 84,000 is written over here. So answer we have calculated. This is your second part only, but here per unit has also been written while it was not requirement. Your requirement was to calculate, solve for dollar sales. Dollar sales formula we have put and answer has arrived. You can calculate target profit in terms of unit as well. So instead of CM ratio, what you will write, simple CM. I'm just going to copy this formula and will write over here just for your satisfaction. We can solve it as well, not for dollar, rather according to units. This was also been repeated for so many times when you are taking it as units. So instead of ratio, you will write CM only. Again, you will put your values. Target profit was 8,000. Start your bracket first. 8,000. Then add your fixed cost, which was 40,000. Bracket close, divided by CM. Simple CM you have calculated over here, which was 80. So put 80 over here. Statement completed. It's time to write it on your calculator. 8,000 plus 40,000, divide it by 80. So here your per unit has also arrived. You can see that target profit in terms of unit, target profit in terms of amount. So go back to those 8 formulas. You can see over here, break even in terms of unit, even in terms of dollar. Same formulas we have used, except for this word. Target profit was added, target profit was added. So that means this 600 has also been arrived. 600 here, and answer is written 600 over here. 84,000, 84,000, and you have calculated 575 in your previous answer. This was your second part. First part has already been solved. All answers are matched. I'm very hopeful that you have understood, and I'm very hopeful with the continuous practice you will definitely be increasing your skill as well. For the time being, our question has been solved. Surely we will be meeting for solution of any other question in future, inshallah. Up till then, please take care of yourself, and I'm requesting you to please pray for me as well. When you will complete your question, I just reminded it in my mind. Whenever you complete your question, it's just a request to please overview it. We have how we have calculated CM, how we have calculated CM ratio, how that target formula was applied, how target profit formula for the unit was applied. I'm just requesting to please repeat it. This break even point we have discussed for so many times, and we have used the same formula for the target profit by adding this word with the same break even formula. Alright guys, hopefully everything will be perfect for you as well. And for the time being, it's time to say goodbye. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.